If I call this video So Wig, So Old, is that too niche? That's too niche. Oh my god, hey! Welcome back to my kingdom of stagey isolation. If you're seeing my face for the first time, my name is Mickey Joe and I am obsessed with all things theatre. Recently, I've been super busy actually going back to theatres for the first time since the West End have reopened in May of 2021. But in and amongst all of the chaos of West End's theatres reopening for the first time in months, the trailer for the film adaptation of the Broadway musical and the West End musical DEAR EVAN HANSEN has just dropped. Which, by the way, is insane, because like everyone else has been dropping teaser trailers first, and then just out of nowhere, DEAR EVAN HANSEN, without giving us a teaser trailer, like, oh, you want a full trailer? Done. Internet broken. Kim Kardashian who? So an entire DEAR EVAN HANSEN trailer has dropped and there is lots to talk about, but the internet only wants to talk about one thing, and that is Ben Platt's old curly-haired face. So in today's video, I am going to be breaking down what else we learned from the DEAR EVAN HANSEN trailer, but also my thoughts on this growing backlash and casting controversy. Spoiler alert, I think everyone's being ridiculous. So I decided I'm not going to do a full reaction to this trailer, watching it in real time, because A, I watched it when I wasn't filming, I couldn't help myself, I was too excited, I wasn't expecting it, and then it just happened. And B, it's not like a high energy, lots of activity trailer. It gives us the one song and various scenes that, I'm gonna say, give away a lot of the plot of the film. Right now, millions of people worldwide are learning what we learned years ago, that it's not actually about a gay kid who breaks his arm. I remember thinking that, although to be fair, I think I thought that because Ben Platt in those early production pictures of the Broadway version was very well groomed, and I think the hair in this version makes me think, not a teenage homosexual. Is that stereotyping? Yes. Although to be fair, me in secondary school, terrible hair. Let he among us who made good adolescent hair choices cast the first stone. What am I searching for here? So it is definitely a choice that the first thing the trailer shows us is this zoom up of Ben Platt's face, and we see his beardless chin and the curly hair going on, which, by the way, I thought when I watched it that it wasn't a wig. It has now been confirmed that is his actual hair. He grew his hair out and then it has been styled in such a way as to give him, and again, without generalizing or stereotyping, it gives him this sort of awkward school loner vibe. I think a lot of the Broadway Evan Hansens have had, like, really good hair, which is not their fault. But this definitely, you look at this characterization, you can get the stereotype that they are going for. The first time I watched this, I did wonder if something was going on in the face region, if it was like a younger CGI thing. I think what it is just full coverage foundation to cover up the fact that he has 5 o'clock shadow, because like myself, Ben Platt is a hairy man who is now also a bearded man. So for him to look clean shaven constantly on a film set when they're filming throughout the day over a period of time, they need to cover that up, because they are trying to make him look younger. And let's just get right into it now. I do not have a problem with Ben Platt being cast in this movie. Yes, it's a little bit of nepotism. Because if you didn't already know, the film is being produced in part by his father. But it is not like Ben Platt has not proved himself as a performer in this role already. He won a Tony Award for originating this role on Broadway and giving the show such an initial early success that the show was able to run for years without him, largely as a credit to his performance. It is worth saying as well, the only reason the movie is getting made with such haste right now is because they wanted to film it before he aged out of being able to play the role. If he wasn't a factor in the movie, if they were willing to do it without him, this movie would not be getting made right now. Because if you think about the timeline of shows happening on Broadway and then getting turned into movies, this is all being turned around unusually quickly. If you consider how long shows like Chicago and In the Heights and Into the Woods had to wait for film adaptations, Les Mis, Phantom of the Opera, years, decades. This is a very quick turnaround from Broadway to Hollywood, all things considered. But there is another conversation to be had here. Because when the non-theatre going world, which is most people, when they think of DEAR EVAN HANSEN, if they know it at all, they know it as that Ben Platt show, or they know it because of those Ben Platt songs. He is the bulk of the cast recording, and he is the best songs on the cast recording. So much of the show's hype and word of mouth and marketability was based around his performance and his face and him being Evan Hansen. It's that success that's allowed him to go on and pursue a solo song career. It's that success that drove people to go and watch The Politician on Netflix. It's very much attached to his brand, and the brand of the show is interwoven with his. So the only reason many people worldwide who do not know the show will go and see it in the cinema is because, oh, that was that Ben Platt thing that Ben Platt is doing. He's meant to be really good in that. That's the connection. If it was a newcomer, would it have that same hype? Would as many people go? Absolutely not. An unknown film with an unknown star, it's not going to be a hot ticket in the same way. I don't know that this is necessarily going to be a huge sellout success. I really can't tell yet, because there are a lot of movie musicals coming out, and this is one of the more niche ones. It's a big musical as far as theatre people are concerned, but to the non-theatre going public, if I said this to members of my family who don't see shows, or who like musicals but don't go and see all the new ones, they wouldn't know what Dear Evan Hansen is. But it is not a West Side Story, and it is not even a from the writers of Hamilton. It's a from the writers of The Greatest Showman, and it's got Ben Platt in it. This is what they are trying to sell with this trailer. And since when is 27 too old to be playing a teenager on screen in a movie musical anyway? Listen, if you are willing to suspend your disbelief to ignore the fact that they are singing in the hallways of a high school in America, you can suspend the fact that he looks a little old. And rewatching it, I don't even think he looks that old. And he is age appropriate to be playing against the other people who are playing teenagers who aren't teenagers in the film as well. Everyone's talking about Grease as this example of where people were really old playing teenagers, but also Hairspray, also Riverdale, also Glee. Outside of the Disney Channel, you are hard pressed to find any sort of media where high school age characters are played by accurately aged actors, and especially in a film that deals with the themes that Dear Evan Hansen does. Very difficult themes emotionally, in terms of mental health and trauma. It's not necessarily the best idea to put very young actors in that position. So I stand by and defend Ben Platt's casting in the Dear Evan Hansen film. I think it's important for the success of the film. I think he's earned it, he deserves it. How often do we get to see Tony Award-winning musical performances reprised on screen? Gwen Verdon was the reason that Sweet Charity was so successful on Broadway. She was adored by audiences and critics, and then they still made a film adaptation that didn't star her. She got replaced with a movie star, and then all the reviews came out and said this film isn't successful because of the conspicuous absence of its original star, Gwen Verdon. If Ben Platt wasn't in this film, the reviews would absolutely be mentioning it and drawing comparisons. So I think good decision, and the only decision that was really possible. Moving on to the rest of the trailer. Now, they do just give us the one song, which is You Will Be Found, that plays over the whole thing, and I've seen a lot of people getting upset that, like, it's not being very forthcoming about the fact it's a musical, it hasn't shown us a bunch of songs. I'm fine with just the one song. I have seen so many movie musical trailers where there is almost no singing whatsoever, and I have legitimately had to question whether they were just adapting it non-musically. They're not going to put them all in the trailer, nor should they put them all in the trailer as far as I'm concerned. I was very upset when Cats gave away the best moment of its entire score in the trailer before I even got into the cinema. Still not over it. If you listen very carefully in the trailer, they do actually give you the first line of Words Fail. There is a clip of Ben Platt saying, "I never meant to make it such a mess," in a slightly tuneful way that's indicative of the fact it's the beginning of Words Fail, and we already know that that's the line that starts Words Fail. We see a couple other moments as well that could also be construed as where they are putting songs in. We see a lot of tree climbing, running with Connor montagey moments that sort of seem like they're from For Forever. We see a lot of moments with Zoe. I wonder if all of those sort of carnival funfair riding a ride with Zoe shots are going to be what's playing while they sing Only Us. Lots of possibilities, nothing too conclusive. I'm thinking most of Evan Hansen's songs are going to stay in. I think they're going to put a couple of new songs in. I think there's a new reprise that's going in. Waving Through a Window, OVS, For Forever, sure. Words Fail, You Will Be Found, we've already seen. I'm praying that So Big, So Small stays in the film because it's one of my favourite moments in the entire show. But I'm pretty sure Anybody Have a Map, gone. I wouldn't be surprised if To Break in a Glove was to go. I wouldn't be surprised if I Could Tell Her could go, but I'm not an authority on this. I haven't checked, and I'm pretty sure there might already be a working version of the song list somewhere, like on IMDb. But I wouldn't be surprised if they tinkered with the song list at least a little bit. The whole vibe and mood of the trailer I found very interesting because it's very starkly different to the Broadway show. I think just aesthetically, the Broadway show is this black box style that's not very naturalistic. It's very much theatricalized. It has all of the screens with the messages and the social media feeds around it because it's all about immersing you in that world. But the film is much more naturalistic and much less light and vibrant. It's more grayscale and washed out, and it seems like it's going to be a lot more real and hard-hitting in that way. Even some of the moments in the show that are played off for laughs, like Evan talking about his hands getting sweaty and wiping them on his shirt when he goes to shake Zoe's hand. You see that happen in the trailer, and we haven't seen the audio from that scene, but it sort of feels like it's being played less for laughs in the film than it had been in the stage show. And in the stage show, a lot of his anxiety anxieties and a lot of the things that he says to himself and how he gets nervous, that is often played for laughs to keep it buoyant in a show that deals with some very heavy themes. But in the film, it feels like perhaps we're not going to have that same level of buoyancy, like it's going to be a little bit heavier, which I'm definitely here for. I think it would be inauthentic to portray this in a way that wasn't serious. It reminded me so strongly of the film Perks of Being a Wallflower, and I then see that it has the same director, which makes perfect sense. That is a film that I think deals with adolescent mental health in a very compelling and a very authentic way. So I'm hoping that this will do similarly in providing good representation, because Dear Evan Hansen has always walked a controversial line in terms of mental health representation. Some people love it, some people really see themselves in the show and say it helped them. Some people hugely take issue with it. Some people say it's a very damaging portrayal of mental health. It's going to be one of those polarizing things that is never going to please everyone. And any interpretation of that I think is valid as well. We see a little bit of some of the other characters in the trailer. The one that stands out to me as being the most different is the character of Alana, who I have made no secret about the fact I do not like Alana in the stage version. Alana in the show super inserts herself into this situation without being asked, and then pretends this great betrayal has happened, which I never understand that. And it just makes me frustrated with the character. And I understand the message of the show is meant to be she comes across as seeming confident, but she deals with the same things that Evan does, and everyone has their own insecurities and anxieties. I feel like the film already seems to be portraying that idea much better, because we see a lot of scenes between the two of them, and she seems like a much softer character. Much less high maintenance. We saw the scene where her and Evan are on the swings. I don't know if she's going to have a different Alana song. I would love that. I think if you're going to have that character in there, she needs to be fleshed out more. But she seems like she's going to have a lot more likability, which is something I appreciate, because I hate that character in the stage version. Other than that, there's not a huge amount that we can infer from the trailer. We see like a graduation scene, and obviously we're seeing scenes that would just be described to us normally. Things like the flashbacks with Connor and the climbing of the tree, and I wonder whether you're going to see different versions of that scene based on what happens later in the show. We see a lot of other scenes that would be a lot harder to portray on a stage. We see Zoe driving a car, we see other students around, we know there are other student characters in the film. We see Evan Hansen on a running track and in a locker room. It's very American teen aesthetic in that way. But again, there was nothing in the trailer that really worried me or that stood out as being a strange decision. I like a lot of the directions they seem to be going in, and I'm just excited for the film to come out. I do think it is going to be very different from the stage show, but I think in a lot of ways it might be a better version of that for them to make as a film. I don't think directly putting that version of the show that's on stage directly onto film and keeping it very similar, I think there would be inherent problems with that to do with the representation of mental health issues. I think any work they've done to carefully restructure some of the show and the characters is probably only for the best. But I'm super interested to hear other people's thoughts on this one. Let me know your thoughts on Ben Platt's casting as Evan Hansen. What do you think about the hair? What do you think about the other performances in the trailer? What do you think about potential songs? What do you think is going to make it in the film versus isn't? Also, any changes to the narrative or the characters that you could discern from the trailer? Things like the fact that Connor's dad is now a stepdad. What other plot details jumped out at you from that trailer clip? And who else is super excited for the movie? Let me know your thoughts on all of the above down in the comment section, and we can have a good old discussion. God, I sound old. Should I shave my beard and get curly hair? No, that's not a look. That is not a look for me. Thank you for watching today's video. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure to subscribe to my channel where there is plenty more stagey content. I've already got a bunch of other videos talking about the many other movie musicals coming out soon, as well as some other Dear Evan Hansen content and loads of other shows. If you at all like musicals, there is something for you on my YouTube channel. If you would like to support me as a content creator, you can also head over to patreon.com/MickeyJoeTheatre, where for a variety of membership tier prices, you can gain access to all sorts of different perks, including cosplay musical theatre photo shoots that I do, extra YouTube videos, and extended versions of the videos I post on here. I hope that everyone is staying safe and that you have a stagey day. For 10 more seconds, I'm Mickey Joe Theatre. Oh my god, hey. Thanks for watching, have a stagey day. Subscribe!